The War Within Prepatch is just around the corner. It's July 23rd, less than a month away, and in this video I'm going to walk you through all of the major changes coming with the update, and there is a lot. We have all major War Within systemic changes. That means warbands, which is a hefty feature that itself has got many little sub-features. I'll break that down. We of course have got changes to dragon riding, it's becoming evergreen. Then the leveling experience is changing, as is loads of the UI. There are so many new elements, even added since our last video. Then of course there is Radiant Echoes, that launches on July 30th. It's the actual pre-patch event, so if you want gameplay, that's your thing. Today's video though is about all of the systems changes you are going to get on patch day on the 23rd of July. And I've got a quick little request. If you would like more of what we do, subscribing will help you and us. Basically, right, subscribing along with likes are positive signals for the algorithm, and that actually helps us get our content out there to more people, and in turn that helps me and the team bring you more content and make it better. It really does help. I really do appreciate it. And with that said, let's go. Warbands then. Other than this strange new login screen, this is the first thing you'll notice when you first log in to the pre-patch. Pretty cozy, and there's new functionality. Your favorited characters from across all realms are present in the favorites area, which is dead handy if you play characters across multiple realms, because that'll save you a few clicks swapping between them. It's limited to 4 characters right now, and there is only 1 background. I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that there will be more backgrounds in the future, perhaps ones that are player unlockable, and from speaking to developers myself and looking at other people's Q&As, it seems like the warbands right now are a foundation, right? They're about quality of life, they're about account-wide things. It does seem, though, that in the future, warbands are going to be what they build a lot of progress off, and maybe even some content. I know a lot of people love the idea of a warband house. I love that too. But it's not coming in War Within, and it's not coming in pre-patch. So let's continue with the things that absolutely are coming. Where you'll notice an extra bit of polish. Character animations are now spec specific. It ain't a game changer, but it's kind of snazzy, and it's WoW actually becoming rather polished, which is important because it's a pretty old game. If you hover over your characters, you'll also see an enhanced tooltip. It gives you loads of new information. Things like profession, Mythic Plus score, current spec, and even the amount of gold in their bags. But a fancy login screen can only go so far, so let's hop in game and talk about the changes you'll feel in gameplay. Number 1, transmog. Warbands totally change it. You'll be able to learn any transmogrification appearance regardless of the armor type in any character. As an example, in the old system, if you went into, say, Antorus and you're Paladin, and you killed all the bosses, you would only learn the plate transmogs. In pre-patch and beyond, you will actually learn all of them account-wide, and that means that you're basically progressing 4 times as fast. Far fewer of those items will just be useless vendor trash. To dive into a few more details, unfortunately they're not able to just magically make this thing retroactive. However, anything that's currently sitting in your bags will actually, when you log in, be added to your overall transmog collection across your account. And that means that if you are playing alts and you just get bits of gear that are maybe for another armor type, don't vendor them. Keep them in your bags, because on patch day, they will be learned across your account. Now, one downside through this is that you cannot learn a gear token on a class that token is not compatible with. It's basically a tech issue, but it's one Blizzard have worked around. They've made it so the tokens will become warbound, meaning you can mail them to your alt. Or you could use the new warband bank. We'll talk about that later. What this does, though, is it just blasts open mog farming, and it's not just for raid drops. Take the likes of reputations. This applies to vendor sold appearance as well. As an example, that includes covenants, it includes renowns, and even quest rewards. It's particularly good for Shadowlands. It had some lovely gear, but man, I don't want to do a lot of that stuff 4 times to get it on all the different armor types, and with pre-patch, I won't have to. Lastly, then, there's a new feature in the Appearances tab. If you click on the drop-down menu at the top right, it is now going to let you preview appearances from any class, both for individual items and full sets. So overall, this is a humongous upgrade to the transmog system, but for warbands, I'm not done. Reputation's the next thing, and many of them are becoming account-wide. Now, it's a rollout that will be happening in stages. It begins with Dragonflight Renowns, which will be account-wide as of pre-patch. Then, of course, whenever the War Within launches, the War Within Renowns will be account-wide via warbands at the very start. Then as time goes on, Blizzard are going to expand this feature backward. What that basically means for you is that when the War Within launches, you won't need to regrind renown on every single character. That is a humongous boon. As an example, let's just say you've maxed out a bunch of renowns on your main, maybe there's just a little smidge of player power there, some useful bits of starter gear, you can immediately pick them up on your alt and have them be useful. So that's pretty damn fantastic. And so what this means for you is simple. When War Within launches, you won't need to regrind renown on each character. It's going to be totally different how it felt in Dragonflight launch, and I think very positive. Next then, Warband banks. They're real simple, they function like personal guild banks. All your characters can access them, it's pretty much as simple as that. Unlocking all the tabs does cost gold though, and quite a lot. It's 1k, 25k, 100k, 500k, and finally a cool 2.5 million. Bit of sticker shock there, but I suppose it does help gold matter. I understand why Blizzard want there to be gold sinks in the game. This is certainly going to be a long-term progression thing, given that warbands are an evergreen feature, and I suppose modern gold numbers are rather inflated. A particularly nice thing though, and this is, I don't want to say it's a game changer, but it does feel like a game changer. There's a new questline in Gadget-san that will reward you with a mobile warband bank. That will essentially mean a summonable, shared, account-wide stash for all of your characters. A massive, massive gameplay improvement. Currencies then, they're also account-wide with some exceptions. You can use this fancy new currency transfer window to move funds between your different characters. Most of the cosmetic ones are one-to-one with no tax, though some power-related currencies like honor do have a small tax. But basically, what used to be scattered around loads of different NPCs via things you had to mail to your characters, that is now just a part of the game's UI by default. And I think it being part of the UI by default means that it'll be easy for Blizzard to make currencies tradable across characters on patch launch, because now they just have the UI to do it. It's very easy. And they've also listened to player feedback, and they've added time-warped badges to this system, which is a big, big change. Yeah, account-wide time-warped badges. That is a pretty massive win. Overall, like, this is a great time saver. For the time-warped badges, though, the time-walking quest and item drops that you get pretty much once per time-walking event, those are per character. So I really imagine this will let you accelerate your progression quite a lot indeed. And at the very least, you'll be able to consolidate your currencies from across different characters, and with that being done, you'll be able to purchase more expensive cosmetics that you otherwise couldn't. Stuff like the Priestess's War Saber or any of the expensive Time Warp badge mounts. Next then, achievements. Achievements are of course becoming warband wide. Individual character progress is basically merged. The exception though is prestige achievements like ranked PvP, Mythic Plus, and high-end raiding. Next then, a massive quality of life change. Quests completed by one character flag as being done for the whole warband, and they've given you a new map filter to hide warband completed quests. So if you played Dragonflight and you went to Valdrakken on an alt and basically hated the way your map looked, yeah, good news. That's basically not a problem anymore. And there's a lovely change for the high-end Mythic Plusers who have unlocked their dungeon portals. Those dungeon portals are no longer character-bound. They will be warband-wide as of pre-patch, as are flight paths, by the way, and even map exploration can be shared with the new The Warband Map to Everywhere All at Once toy. It's a bit weird. You unlock it by leveling 2 characters to max level, and yeah, when you use it, it just reveals the map. Bit weird, but there you go. Next, I've got Dragon Riding. They've renamed it to Skyriding because it's no longer just for dragons, and it comes in pre-patch. Basically, it applies to most mounts in the game, at least, most flying mounts. They've taken the old Dragon Riding talent window, they've streamlined it down a bit, and they've added it to the mount journal, with you earning talent points just as you level up. So you don't actually have to go and farm out glyphs like you did. Now, the glyphs still will exist, but I think they're really just there for achievements. Anyhow, the point is that by the time you hit the current cap of 70, you will have maxed it out. They've also done a nice thing with the Lightning Rush ability. Now, this used to be exclusive to the Algarian Stormrider mount, which was included in the premium editions of the War Within. The good news is, it seems that that is just on the talent tree now, and that is a really, really good thing. It should not be the case that the Epic Edition of the game gets you like a different traversal ability, and that shouldn't be the case, and thankfully it's not going to be the case because it's going to be a baseline choice. A few more things in mounts then. So the journal also includes a Skyriding tag and filter, which is handy, and then we have this, the steady flying toggle. It's got a 5-second cast time, and it just switches you over to the old style of flight. And quick tip, not exactly pre-patch related, but it has made my Dragon Riding far nicer. I find the blue aura effect to be way too strong. You can actually turn that off. I think it's in as an accessibility setting, but honestly, I just like not having my screen be assaulted by a big blue spell effect. So Blizzard, I do like how you're reinforcing motion, you know, giving a sense of acceleration with that effect. I just think it's too strong. And I've saved the best for last. As of pre-patch, you'll be able to skyride from level 10. Now, of course, that will be the newbie starter version. You won't have any of those talents. What it does mean, though, especially once you get a few of those talents, when you're leveling up, it'll be pretty massive. You'll just be able to absolutely zoom from objective to objective way faster than regular flying. So that'll be pretty big, and it of course will work really well with the changes to leveling. Leveling changes then. So, Prepatch brings a very large reduction to XP. You'll only need 45% of the previous total amount of XP to reach level 70. And that might seem like a totally unhinged thing, but basically it's something they do in most expansions so that the overall time to hit max level doesn't get out of hand as they keep on rolling through the expansions. This isn't applied evenly though, so there's a 20-ish% reduction from levels 20 to 50. That goes up to 40% by level 60, and the most significant cuts are in the 60 to 70 leveling bracket with a pretty damn spicy 75% XP reduction, which very much means if you're leveling up new characters for War Within during pre-patch, yeah, you're going to have a pretty good time. Pre-patch leveling is going to be pretty mad, especially because Mop Remix will still be active, though remember, any Mop Remix characters will remain locked until the time running event ends, so that is a little bit unfortunate. Still though, the point is you can batch level characters real easy, and you can do so in Chromie time. It's been extended to level 70, meaning you can hit the pre-patch level cap by doing any content, which is great for topping off your alts without Dragonflight fatigue. And finally, BFA is no longer the default. New players will hop straight from Exile's Reach into Dragonflight, and I suppose with that, the dark chapter of BFA leading to Shadowlands is gone. Radiant Echoes is the pre-patch event, and it kicks off July 30th. If you've done previous pre-patch events, this is going to feel very familiar. Timed events will basically pop up across the old world. You go there, you grind currency, you get rewards. They're going full nostalgia mode this time with basically it being themed around Azeroth's memories manifesting. It's pretty neat. You'll earn catch-up gear, there's an heirloom ring, and various different cosmetics like mounts and pets. And you'll likely also get a shitload of character levels because level 10 characters can take part. So assuming you've got travel sorted, you should be able to blast through levels. And of course, while you're leveling those tunes up, you'll be getting loads of the pre-patch currency, which will get you the catch-up gear and the rewards. Now, back in Dragonflight, a similar event could see a character hitting level cap in maybe 2.5 to 3 hours. It would depend on things like maybe your rested XP as well. And it certainly is not fast enough to compete with Mop Remix, but of course, Mop Remix characters will be stuck in Pandaria until August 19th. Characters you level in any other way will not be. Okay, talents. Prepatch brings major talent changes. Hero talents are the big new thing, but the core, class, and spec reworks will go live immediately. This is your chance to get familiar, your chance to test drive new specs. Like, seriously, it's worth it. I mean, hell, looking at, say, Hunters, we have went from being honestly pretty damn rough to actually something that's enticing now. There are so many changes. War Within has broadly done a pretty great job just iterating player pain points. It is not perfect, but it certainly is strong. We also see talent loadout slots see a large boost with the cap jumping from 10 to 40. Previously, people, like if you're playing, say, a multi-role class and you're doing so across different types of content, you would legitimately run out of talent presets, and that meant that players had to use an add-on. Now, though, they won't. Next up, UI, where War Within is not doing what Dragonflight did. It is not a big revamp. Instead, it's polish and usability, which actually matters a hell of a lot. Sometimes even a hell of a lot more. I've done a full video recapping things, but basically, here's some of the notable stuff. Number one, the spellbook. It's got a total makeover. Basically, it's been moved to the talent window now. It's got a search bar, which is really, really good, and it's got the option to hide passive abilities. We've got the likes of quest management improvements. The quest log interface now includes a checkbox to track quests and a search filter. World map icons are updated across the board, from city hubs to raid entrances, and most of those things can now be super tracked as well, which really is quite fantastic. And the map has now got a legend. It actually breaks down what every single new icon means, which will be big for new players. Then there's the objective tracker. It's got some new art, it's got some more subcategories. You can see it's a lot of polish. And the visual upgrades extend to the 3D quest indicators and the Flightmaster icon. Then they've also replaced the spellbook with professions in the micro menu, I guess. And there's other nice little tweaks too. As an example, there's a lore item mini-map icon. And you know world events, things like the soup, well, those have got their own unique icons now, so you don't have a situation where they've just reused the one from the Grand Hunt for everything else. Plus loads of other things. They seriously have done a lot of polishing here. Even the likes of the HD cursors, things like the arachnophobia mode, the revamped camera collision, which I think is like the #1 change here, self-highlight, character silhouettes whenever you are occluded by, by objects in the world. It's fantastic, and you can check out this video to learn more. Next then, some miscellaneous things that didn't fit elsewhere. The human diplomacy racial is getting replaced in the pre-patch. The old one was great. It was a 10% rep buff, but I think we all know that it was just a little bit OP, and probably it would be a bit more OP in the world of warbands and more account-wide progress. So in its place, we have got No Place Like Home, which is a bit odd. It gives you a 5-minute reduction to your Hearthstone cooldown and an extra charge, which potentially is useful, but it obviously is a downgrade, but look, anything would have been. Then guilds have also been made cross-realm, with the account services relating to guilds being removed. They've also removed all talents that increase ability melee range because they just don't feel like it's needed anymore, and they've added in a new visual for fear, silence, sleep, stun, and interrupt, plus a new visual that will be applied to anyone with a 50% or greater move speed reduction, which is real nice for readability, mostly in PvP, and on PvP, well, arenas are actually getting a lovely feature. There will be levers in the starting area, and if every player on both sides pulls the lever, it will cut the pre-match timer down to 10 seconds so you can get straight into your game, which, it's a small thing, but it's pretty big impact. Right, let's talk about what's not coming. So Dragonflight Prepatch gave us new content, things like the Drakthir Evoker, race class combo, and of course, the really big systemic changes like the new talent trees. But there is no such equivalent this time around. The Earthen Allied race are going to be unlocked in the expansion itself, as are hero talents, so those won't be here. So there you have it. That's all the important stuff that is coming for pre-patch. And with all of this, you can do a lot. I mean, hell, even just moving all of your, say, Argent Tournament seals, moving them all into one character, buying a bunch of mounts, finally consolidating your 7th Legion service medals so that you can get the Priestess's Moonsaber. All of that stuff will be pretty cool. And absolutely, I will be doing transmog runs. Because, man, it's just going to feel like it's absolutely overpowered on turbo mode, getting 4 times more things going into your appearances, which will, of course, mean if you start a new alt and it's a different armor type to what you normally play, you'll actually have some good visual options. So that's it for now. I hope you found things useful, and if you would like to check out what's going on in the lore so you actually understand and can enjoy and appreciate the expansion, well, check out this video next.